Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of In the Trenches. Our guest today is an industry veteran, an editor who has cut some of the biggest jobs, commercials, and music videos you've seen on TV. His client list is staggering. Our conversation really brought back some good old memories from the glory days of living in Los Angeles, and of course, we brought it to full circle to where we are today. But before we get into the episode, I want to remind y'all, please like, share, and subscribe. So, without any further ado, my friend, Jason Painter. Jason Painter, thank you, man.
Yeah.
We're here. We've already started the podcast before we even started, so.
Oh, yeah, we kind of did. Didn't we?
It's been a little while, so you and I have been pent up with, getting some time on the old conversations.
Yeah.
You've been here probably about 30 minutes now. We've already hey, save that for the
we're
save
good.
that for the thing. We're good. We're done.
All right,
We're going
thanks
home.
so much. I appreciate it.
So what you been up to? Wait, so let me just tell everybody how we know each other. We met on Ram and Jeep.
We did. We did.
Fort Collins, Colorado.
That's right.
Our good friends from Donor.
Good friends from Donor.
Yeah, Paul
Yeah.
Smith. Who else?
Yeah, I haven't.
Alex.
Well,
Nick Coyne.
I still stay in touch with Michael. What's his last name? The producer.
Oh, Albert.
Yeah, Mike Albert.
Mike Albert, dude. He's a legend.
He's a stud.
He is.
He just handles it. Takes care of it.
Well, think about
we've
how
got
many-
this and that and the other. How are we going to get this done? Mike's
Like,
like
think about how many major productions he's been on.
hundreds.
But anyway,
Yeah.
you are a fantastic editor, and you were editing this commercial, and there was downtime, and our personalities hit it off.
Hey, let's go shopping in the middle of. We got some time in between
Had to
takes.
check out the local
we had to get some gear.
some mental gear. Why editing? I really wanted to start with that because, why editing out of all the jobs in film?
Well, I was on set as a PA, like everybody starts out.
you're like death.
Just exploring, and I felt like a glorified mover. Art department. We're gonna move. Oh, we're gonna move this couch. We gotta move this. I'm like, wow, this is filmmaking. I just felt like everybody was moving cable. Everybody's moving lights. I'm like, I didn't come out here to be a mover. I came out here to be the director or whatever. Worked in the camera department a little bit, and it was again a hierarchy. I'm going to be the guy, right? But I knew realistically, that road was a long road. Yeah.
One thing to kind of make note to all the viewers and listeners is that we're talking kind of an old school game now. We're talking
film.
An era of, well, I'll say it, an era of post-production in LA.
Yeah.
You guys were rock stars. And there was a scene.
They're kind of.
Do you know what I mean? There was a scene, a heavy scene in the post world in LA.
Yeah.
At least I
correct.
knew it. And let's talk about it because it's different than today.
Oh, 100%.
There's a community. And honestly, even you, let's go back for a second.
I scratched the surface of that tail end, I guess you could say, because, the guy I assisted for, his name was Bob Jenkins, and he was doing Michael Jackson. He was doing Madonna. He was working with Fincher. He was working with Lynch. He was working with the Company Threes and the Stefan Sonnerfelds of the world. So I kind of got to peer into that world. And,
super high end.
Super, and 525 and all these different, effects companies, the Henry, the Flame, I got to see the arc of where things were going.
Do you remember the Flame, Henry, the Harry, Smoke, Inferno?
Yeah, and it's why are there
that
so
just
many?
came out of me.
I don't know where. Just put it together. Can we do this? Can we do that? It was insane.
But it was coming from film.
It was.
So footage was obviously, but did you start in music videos or did you start in commercials?
Well,
I'm jumping ahead because I'm getting excited.
Well, Bob was known for music videos.
Yeah.
He did Rhythm Nation, and that really put him on the map. Because the quick cut, the match cut, the dancing and all that stuff. He's a genius. He still works in the industry. I think he just did something for Tony K. Is it Tony K?
Yeah,
Tony K. And I kind of researched him before. What's that? Oh, I sort of researched him before I was trying to become an assistant. So I went to a wall of 3/4-inch tapes, and his stuff just blew me away. And primarily, it was music videos. But because of his rock star status, the music video editors and the music video directors were so, in the Mr. and Mrs. Popular, they moved into commercials. Yeah. Like it used to be a separate deal where music video editors, music video directors, commercial directors and commercial editors, it was a separate deal.
Yes.
And then, when these guys became the rock stars, the ad agencies started to notice. Yeah. And then the ad agencies started to go that way. So Bob moved into the commercial world. I was working out, because Avids were super expensive back then. Editing machines were super expensive.
Yeah, you had 60 grand or some shit.
I mean, you had a rack of stuff, black bursts and, 3/4 and half inch. And, to buy all that, to have a young buck get on that, it just, they were always being used. So any chance I got, I'm working at night, just trying to get faster and understand the craft and maybe re-edit something that he did on my own just to see how that would, transpire. And, started to get some of his overflow in the commercial world. And, working with directors that he didn't have time for because he was booked too much and he was too busy. And so that's kind of how it transpired. I assisted for him and learned the craft because I feel like it was more of a craft then.
That's one of my notes, and you just said then. Yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Well, I don't want to jump too far ahead, but I'm going to have to. Well, no, I'm not going to. Let's just keep moving.
Okay. Yeah. So, you had the guys that lit it in production. You had the guys that shot it, and they were very, it was very much thought out, and there was pre-pro. I'm not saying there isn't to this day, but it just seemed like, there were more people involved, and you got this incredible film that always just blew me away. And maybe one day I'll get to work on that type of stuff. And so as time went on, just assisting, it wasn't that long. Like they made me an editor probably 3 years into the process because I was harvesting directors. I was harvesting clients because of the editors that were on the roster were, feeding me little bits and pieces. And then once you build up, an arsenal of directors and
a big portfolio.
And ad agency folks, it was sellable, it was marketable. Yeah. So, that's kind of how it started. That's kind of how it went, and just being, having Will Smith walk through the door or David Fincher walk through the door, it was kind of daunting, but then as time goes on, you get used to the people, they're just people too. They're artists as well. And you're all just lending your hand to the finished product, your talent, your eye, collaboration. Yeah, directors sometimes have, specifics like they're not going to deviate from that, but that's okay. If you can add a little bit here and there that maybe they didn't think about, that's your job.
Sure. Now, do you, in commercials, it's not uncommon for the directors to not be in the room, to not be a part of the edit.
Which is really, I've always felt like is backwards.
I agree.
Because they've interpreted the script that they've gotten from the ad agency. And they are the ones that have crafted it in the camera. And so why wouldn't you want to have the director in the rooms, at least putting out the first edit?
That's the thing. Is like, here, spend the 3 days, 4 days necessary. Now, I understand that deadlines, time frames are different, but maybe it's the director and you go in and you've already have it pre-built a little bit from set. Okay, you knock out 24, 48 hours. And then the agency can make and client can adjust according to his to the director's vision.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, and it used to be that where you would get 2, 3 days to craft, and the director would come in and we'd craft and we'd put things together, and but then turnaround times
Mm-hmm.
really sort of put the kibosh on that. So yeah, I was always for the director to get their time to put together their vision,
Sure.
what they wrote and the treatment that they presented that they got, the job from. Um, but then we just started to notice the turnaround times were shorter and shorter. And when the director would come in, I think the agency folks felt like, hey, we don't have time for that. We have to satisfy our client.
Yeah.
And we've got to get the day that they would have gotten, in the past, because our client is demanding. They've got the airtime already purchased.
Sure.
There might be a sale on a Jeep or a car, a vehicle, or whatever the product may be, and therefore they've got to get it to air.
Did you notice a change because you worked on both sides, film and now digital, where during the film days and you're shooting 30, 40, 60,000 feet of film and then transferring it and processing it and shipping it.
Yeah.
And 1 day, 2 day, 3 day calendar days are moving. So then you get your edit. Nowadays, cut to versus you've got digital. Hell, when we did the job in Colorado, they flew you out.
I was already editing.
You were already editing
On set. Yep.
Then you flew to Detroit, right, for a week or so,
Yeah.
and dealt with client, director, or whatever. Explain
sure.
that process,
Sure.
because let's talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, maybe I jumped a little bit too far ahead with, the turnaround times. But yeah, when we moved into the digital age, I mean, you're getting files right there as soon as they shoot it.
Yeah.
I mean, you're getting it fed straight to you after DIT, like maybe converts it or whatever, or adds a lot to it.
Hell yeah, a lot. You got 70% color going in.
It's there. It's all there where we don't have to, but I'm jumping too forward. But yeah, I mean, so I'm getting footage. And I've got the script, and I've studied the script, and I understand what they're trying to sell or what they're trying to do, or the story, or the feeling, or the heartstrings, or whatever it may be, the comedy value, whatever it may be. I'm already sort of crafting in my head by seeing it shot and then getting it and listening to maybe the client or the director liking a particular take. So I'm able to. Take that in mind. But yeah, I mean, you just have to get this stuff out now. And that was, by, the digital world coming into play. And it's expected now.
But would you agree that that's possibly what you said earlier, that where you're now losing the craft element of it because the demise of feeding the content machine now well crafted, well designed, or whatever footage maybe now has to be more natty, so you can get more shots to feed more different assets. You see, so now we start to unravel the yarn, and it just becomes less of a ball.
Yeah. I mean, and that's just my job now. I'm dealt the cards I've got, right? I have to turn it around, and so, we just have to make it the best that we can possibly make it. So yeah, it kind of some things get lost. Yeah. I feel like, it's about sound bites now, for social media, I think, which I'm sure we'll get into, but, it just doesn't feel as crafted. It's just small snips and things. And, I think you see it in Super Bowl commercials. I think you see the old craft.
Oh yeah, you see a little bit of that Pitka and Bayer love coming out.
Yeah,
man,
so
I want to get into all those cats.
Yeah, but it's just my job, even if it's something that's not very good. Okay, it's my job to literally turn nothing into something, or
for sure,
or something that's really not so good into something that is acceptable.
Yeah.
For the client. But really nowadays, I think agencies are just trying to hang on to clients, so they might not necessarily push the envelope as much as they used to.
So you're saying that the client, the agency just wants kind of keep the brand, keep the business coming through the doors. So therefore, maybe they're not getting as savvy or just as creative.
Yeah, taking chances. And, like I worked on the BK Crown fella, and that was a big risk back then. It's like, what is this thing? And why is he so creepy? But he works and everybody wants to watch him just point and thumbs up and, kind of, gestures.
He was kind of creepy.
He was creepy. Yeah. He'd open a door. There he was, or his big hand is coming into a window. So, yeah, I mean, I think like the Crispin Porter Bogusky's back in the world, and the Wyden and Kennedys and all of them, they really push the envelope. And I still think that some agencies do, but there's always a core client that they've got to hang on to.
Sure.
To pay the bills and pay keep employees and whatnot. So, where it's going, I don't know. But yeah, the digital world just turned I was out on a cattle ranch for one of the Dodge Ram jobs, and we're in a tent and it's cold and the wind is whipping and we've got a heater on us, and what do they call those things that roll across? The tumbleweeds are going past us, and then a big wind comes and takes the easy up over our heads. We're covering, all the equipment. We get back to the hotel with the footage of cows. It was a herding thing. Trucks were herding the cows, and there was a storm coming and whatnot. And the client literally, I'm just in the room going, when can we see an edit? When can we see an edit? So again, you start grabbing shots just to get a visual, because then, I'm the one that's, not competent.
Yeah.
So you just have to get the client something, and you have to make the airtime. And so, I believe compared to back when I started, I'm not dissing anybody, but they all know, and I know, we just have to get it done and do the best we can and get the best thing on the air for everybody.
Well, that's a lesson in and of itself from a veteran of your stature. Is there are some jobs where you're going to be given the time or whatnot.
It's true.
And then there's other jobs that it is a business and there's money flowing, and it's flowing from the top. Yeah. And the top says we need to get it in at boom.
And I don't blame them.
And it's not your sword to lay on.
No. Just my job to get in the best product that they can possibly get. And if there's issues on set, I have to come up with ideas or suggestions to bridge that mistake or bridge the story or create the emotion or create the comedy value, and please them the best that I can.
Has there been what would you say is the biggest obstacle that you've had to overcome to keep your dreams or to keep your career moving forward?
Yeah, that's interesting. You and I know, we're basically freelance. Yes. We're basically hired guns.
Absolutely.
And, I believe that artists typically aren't the best marketers.
No.
We don't, and I think it's a twofold, maybe we're not good at boasting about ourselves,
Our era. See, now
no, it's a whole.
My son can talk. He's the greatest thing since sliced bread, and he can convince it and sell it. I'm like, Jesus.
I know.
I can be sitting on gold and be like, I hope you like.
Yeah,
It just
100%.
It's just a different kind of upbringing.
It is, but I always just felt like I was bragging about myself.
That's me too.
Even if it was an award-winning spot that won awards and golds and Cleos and Bears and Tigers and whatever.
You worked with the GOAT, Roger Federer, so you can brag.
Yeah, well, a little bit.
You can brag
a little bit, but I just didn't. I just didn't do it. So I guess that's probably been the challenge of
not
posting everything. Look at me.
Not taking on the power of social media and using it to your advantage. Honestly,
Yeah.
and it's never too late.
Yeah, no, I know. Yeah, and I have been doing a little bit better job
It's
of it.
important. And,
Yeah, but you
know,
want it to be something that's relevant or something
Sure.
that you're actually proud of and
Proud
the
of.
agency's proud of. If it's a throwaway and it just needs to get out there to fill a gap, it's like, okay, I'm not going to post that. I'm not going to like.
But people need to know about you.
I guess
Because honestly, you're an amazing editor and an amazing dude. Which honestly, you have to be as an editor.
You do.
Your whole point
You're
is
in
like
a room.
you're gonna be like a chameleon to a client.
Yep.
Which is a totally different vibe
Yeah.
to a agency.
Yeah.
To a totally different vibe to a director. It's all different.
It's a dance. It's definitely a dance. I mean, you got to know like your place in the room. When I started, it was like the assistant just sat and cleaned up and asked for like, what would you like for lunch? And you really didn't have a lot of input. And if you did, you were in trouble because you were not supposed to comment.
Yeah,
so
no.
then when they
Fincher asks you, hey, what do you think? You're like,
it's
great.
It's amazing.
I can tell you a story about that. I did with Fincher.
He asked you?
Yeah, I was working for Angus Wall.
Oh yeah, Angus.
So we can go all over the place. We're everywhere.
Still
But
a stud.
you would say we'll go into Angus Wall.
Yeah.
But you were saying social media, maybe not taking it on.
Yeah.
Honestly, it was something even for me.
Yeah.
I use social media. I had it kind of easy for a second because, well, as a director, if we would post clips of a video, they would rip it down because we're copywriting.
Sure.
So then all these directors, me too, would post screen grabs.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, well, that's great for the DP, but I'm a director.
Yeah.
How does the camera move? How does it blah, blah, blah,
Yeah,
blah.
yeah.
So then I just started posting photos of mine. Well, then everybody started to see me as a photographer.
Yeah.
I was excited about it,
Yeah,
and I
sure.
loved it,
Yeah, yeah,
and I
yeah.
maybe was
Yeah.
putting after with that excitement,
Sure.
but it was because the algorithm or the copyright
Your hands are
committees
tied. Yeah.
were downplaying it. And then if you look at all these directors posting screen grabs, they all look the fucking same.
And it doesn't
Everything
tell
looks the same.
Yeah.
And half of it, because you're looking at a small screen and DPs and everybody loves to be underlit and dark and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Well, the time you look at everything on your phone, you're like,
Yeah.
I can't even see it.
Yeah.
So everything for me just became about photo.
Yeah.
So
and for me as well, like if I'm doing a campaign, like I did a campaign for Best Buy a couple Christmases ago, couldn't post anything.
Yeah.
So it's hard to keep the momentum
it.
going.
You're right.
Because you want to be relevant within the market, and it's hard to, if you can't show any of your work, how are you going to get the next job? Because a lot of times you're only as good as as the current work. You're only as good as the quality of work. And so how do you keep moving on and promoting yourself?
We can riff because that's what this whole podcast is about. You know what I would say it is? What it's becoming in this context?
Yeah.
You. Who is Jason Painter?
Yeah, that's true.
What makes this nutball, but greatest guy, nice guy, smile, tick? And then it's a weird world. It's a weird place that you could say that translates to your art, to your craft.
Yeah.
It does.
It does.
And that's because the people who are hiring you and all the way it's working now, that's why influencers and all those people are getting those jobs. Also because there's a, lower common denominator. Yeah. Everything is kind of like, who will do it for the cheapest and this and that, but I don't want to get into all that. But
I mean, it is what it is.
Your brand is your brand, but I'm just wondering.
I think that most people, if they enjoy you, when we were on set in Colorado and we hit it off, and Michael, we hit it off, and like all the guys in that group, like being around each other. We can all go to dinner together and we have a good time. There's no kind of tension like, oh God, do I have to go to dinner with this guy? So I think if you're able to connect on a human level, right, and you have like-minded people and you laugh and you have a good time and everybody shares a story, I think that's how you get repeat customers or repeat clients.
And people might think, oh God, he's singing Kumbaya. You know what?
It's true.
You're 1,000% true.
Yeah,
Do you want to know what my superpower is? That.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's it.
Well,
You got to be a great hang.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
got to
yeah.
know the room to be the kind of hang you need to be.
Yeah, you have to.
You need to know when to shift your gears,
Yeah, and I don't
when to
think
sit an idle.
I don't think you change who you are. I just think like if you have to tone it down a little bit, or if there's, you know,
I know I've been in situations where I'm like, internally, I'm like, you're being that guy. Shut up. Stop. You're that guy right now.
Contain.
You're like, all of a sudden, you're like,
sit on your hands. Yeah, I agree. But, you know, I always feel like if you engage with somebody, right, if you ask them how they are, or if you ask them, how are your kids doing? Or how are your parents? Is your dad doing okay? I think if you start there on the human level and you take out all the elements of, you know, the production or the edit, I think
Shop talk.
Yeah, I think if you get to that level, that's really where you develop a successful relationship with your clients. And you know, it sounds easy, but I think people when you do engage on that level, they really get to know your heart, and they really understand. The friendship thing starts.
yeah.
I mean, so I think all that is still important when you're just trying to sell yourself as an artist or
But you're selling it now more genuinely too.
Yeah, you know, yeah, of course we all deal with the ego, right? And back in the day, you know, when things were taking off for me, and people start telling you, "Oh, you're a great editor. Oh, you're a great director. You're working with, you know, these famous performers or these famous directors or a high-end, you know, campaign for, you know, whatever it is." You start to believe. You start to, you know, start to
Drink your sauce.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lapping it up.
Yeah.
And then that's where the human aspect goes away. So I think people don't deal with that anymore. You know, they don't hire directors in most cases that have the ego.
Sure.
They don't want the ego. They don't want an editor that says, "I need 3 days before I can show you an edit." That's just not going to happen. You know, I'm not working with that guy. You're working with a guy or the director, female, male, that can actually collaborate and, you know, fit within that community that hired you. And I think the best results come from that kind of collaboration. Throw the ego in our business, as far as I'm concerned, it can't exist. Because it slows everything down. And then there's tension, and then the edit doesn't come out the way it's supposed to, and the emotion that you're trying to create, it just gets, you know, vanilla.
Yeah.
And so that's been a learning curve for me as well. But that ego's been gone for a long, long time.
Did that shift when you moved to Nashville? Why did you move to Nashville?
God,
How did that come about? You know, when maybe if it's similar to my transition across state lines.
Yeah. I think it was a lot of things. I think it was, you know, traffic,
Sure.
the 405, the 101.
The 101.
You know, like that Saturday Night Live skit. But I think it was just the type of people that were coming into town, and the type of people I just started getting the feeling that everybody wanted something. There wasn't that friendship. I had my friends that I love and that I still love and that live out there and have also moved away. I just got to the point where I didn't feel like I was dealing with people day in and day out that really gave a shit, you know, and they just wanted something from you. And so that human feeling or that love, the give and take, you know, I always call it
The two-way street.
Yeah, like it was just take.
Yeah.
You know, you'd be at the grocery store and you're looking at the soup, all the soup on the shelves, and somebody would just reach in front of you and grab it. You know, just the inconsiderate type. You know, the driving. You know, the road rage. All that stuff got pent up inside of me, and I was an angry guy. I was angry. and I didn't know why I was angry. Being from the Midwest, I mean, it's not, a melting pot of sorts. Most people stay there or move there for business and whatnot. So it just got to a point where I was done. I was bouncing back from New York to LA with work. I had a place in New York, place in LA, and offices in both coasts. And had no family, had no kids, just wasn't feeling like had a lot of stuff, made a lot of really good money, had a bunch of cars, but then
probably living a lifestyle that's probably not even you.
No, and then you turn around and you look around. I've got this money. Who can I help out? I don't need all this stuff. It's just stuff. So I met my wife on the way home from New York. I stopped in town to visit some friends that opened up a company here, and they had 2 young boys that were just, like my nephews, and just came to visit. And they took me down to Broadway. I didn't know what Broadway was at all. I was like, wow, cool, wow. Boot Barn, like there wasn't even any of these big named, bars, pubs, whatever you want to call them. Then it was just kind of, it's still a little sleepy. This is 12, 13 years ago now,
it was.
Right? So it was still a little
Broadway
sleepy.
wasn't then what it is now.
No, and we go back further and it was even less, right? So I just felt people said hello.
Yeah.
And they kind of meant it.
As you said that, when I first moved here, we were living in an apartment till we figured out where we wanted to live. And I was taking the license plate off of the back of the car. And we were parked in one of those ported things, whatever. And my back is to the back there. And I'm doing this thing with a screwdriver. And this girl goes, "Hey, how you doing?" Or
I did 100%.
I mean, it was just like
100%.
And I'm like, hey, hey, you know what I mean? Like, wow, it was like just hey, how you doing?
Yeah.
My back was turned to her.
Exactly.
And she was just, it was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like maybe gonna ask you, do you need some help, or are you stripping the bolt here?
Or I remember my first time going to New York. On a big job. Landed, never seen New York in my life. Saw all 5 boroughs on a scout. Right out of the airport. First, I don't know where we were, Marcy's Project or Brooklyn or something. And we were sitting there waiting for someone to get a coffee. I'm in the pass van. I look out, and there's this lady walking her pug. And I had a pug back in LA, or a French bulldog. And I go, "Hey, I like your dog." "Fuck off." Whoa! And I looked to my driver. He's like, I go, "What?" Yeah, welcome to New York.
Welcome to NYC. I love New York.
So
that shirt is such bullshit,
So you loved it here.
Well, I mean, that was my first taste of it, so I didn't really know. And then we went out the second night, or maybe it was the first night, and just ran into who I'm married to this day. Lightning struck for me. She says in hindsight, didn't really strike for me, but it struck for me.
She wasn't convinced. You had to put in a little work.
I'm calling my dad. Lightning struck. He's like, "Good for you."
She's like, "Hold on."
Hold on, no. So she was moving to LA in 10 days, which was like, oh, come on.
Don't.
In Culver City. And I was in Mar Vista, which is right next to Santa Monica. And then we just started dating. And went to Hawaii, and I asked her to marry me in, I think, 6 months. And then we stayed out there she was acting on, she was doing day playing on like The Office and Body of Proof and different shows. And she was trying to, seek out her.
Acting?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
My wife was too.
Yeah.
She was doing what does she do?
As
Entourage. No, she did Entourage and has like these crazy Pippin stories. You're like...
No comment. No comment
and,
on Mr. Piven.
And 2.5 Men with Charlie Sheen.
Oh, she picked some winners, right? At the time. I mean, he's probably good now. But. Yeah, so we stayed out there for a couple more years, and I just kept digging that hole, just that dark hole. And
are you trying to impress her too now? So you're kind of going a little bit further into your, you know what I mean?
I bought the midlife crisis car, a Mercedes AMG what do they call those? The long.
Oh yeah,
the 2-door, with 600 horsepower, and I'm like, look at me,
I think it's important
to a degree.
I think it's important to kind of flash back for a quick second because some people are like, wait a minute, how is an editor buying all this shit? Hold on, let's flash back.
Yeah.
I know that I'm not even going to mention, you don't need to mention numbers. I'll mention numbers that I experienced.
Yeah.
You get into some numbers back in the day, like Chris Hafner. Do you remember Chris Hafner from Brass Knuckles?
Of course, yeah.
I remember
Rest
him
his
in his
soul.
apartment. Yeah. Yep, his apartment.
Yeah.
And then he started
Brass
Knuckles.
Yeah.
Right on Beverglen or whatever it is up in Beverly Hills, right that apartment.
Yeah.
Then down to Venice, Abbott Kinney.
Abbott Kinney.
Dude.
It was a great space.
We're talking 15K plus edits for music videos.
Oh, yeah. Per day?
No, job. Like, and he
15 grand, yeah.
It would be assistants.
Yeah.
And then client McG would come in and be like, all right, looking good. Meanwhile, the editor, but that's how the other editors would got big too. Because his other staff, just like you said.
Yeah, then he got into the Apple computers, and then the budgets grew, and the budgets grew.
I love Chris Hafner.
Rest
for
his
all
soul.
of our LA folks, rest in peace. What an amazing creative, director.
Yeah,
His director, he as a director was insane. His music videos were nuts, and then him as an editor was so aggressive.
Well, he would take he would take a still photo and turn it into something.
Yeah,
he
was an amazing. Force.
He had something way beyond my ability.
Yeah, but he
was one of them. He was kind of like one of the Godfathers. Like I always considered like some of these editors for music videos were kind of the Godfathers of where things went.
Jonathan Delgado.
Oh God.
Spot welders before they became spot welders. They were all cutting Mark Romanik's jobs.
Yeah, I was with spot welders for a couple of years. Yeah, and
that was you were lucky as a director. I'm gonna say this as a young director, making my way around, trying to meet up with Dayton and Ferris, and then, dude, if you got behind the door of spot welders,
you might have been next.
You were in.
Yeah,
if you were let in behind that door to get, because it was so top secret.
It was. Yeah, a lot of it was. Yeah, no, it was great. I mean.
See, this is back when that editing and post was legendary. Yeah, I'm not shitting on it now, but
I'm not either.
It has spread a bigger and more at-home DIY systems.
Yeah.
That was
elite. It was the heyday.
It was elite because if you were doing high-end gigs, you had to go to those boxes, those machines, those facilities, those editors.
Yeah, yeah, and we made it like a country club. There was koi ponds and beer on tap. What do you want? Nobu for lunch.
Lifestyle.
Whatever you want. We were, oh hey, here's some iPhones.
How about
pass
this
out
one?
the iPhones.
I remember I would actually in the early days I would actually not eat certain go to the grocery if I was on a job. Because I knew I was going to be eating at the post facility. I could just eat for free.
All day.
Or,
all day. What would I like now?
Wait a minute.
How about some strawberries and blueberries with cream? Yeah, I think I'll have that. Well, we don't have that, but they wouldn't say that. They would just go get it. It was a country club.
It was, it was
a rock star's country club.
Yes, it was a rock star.
It was like a troubadour, it was,
You were lucky to be, even in my early days when I first got there, I was a runner. I was a runner for 525, and I would be peeking in the fishbowl windows
100%.
to see Sam Baer coloring Smashing Pumpkins, Bullets, Butterfly Wings, going, and then I would go around to the machine room and act like I'm doing something, but I can see the footage,
peeking.
God. Oh, Sam just left. Dude, I was a stalker. I'd be in the machine. I can't believe I'm saying this shit. But
you had to be, though.
I had to.
You had to be.
But listen, I would be in the machine room, kicking it with the machine room guy.
Learning as much as you can.
Yes, and then I would see Sam Bayer go out to the kitchen to get a coffee or smoke a cigarette. Boom! Go around, boom, come back in. Hey, Sam, can I get you something?
What do you want?
We became.
Really?
And then when I saw him at A52,
Yeah.
it's pretty cool. I just honestly, I can talk all day long.
Sure.
I have do you know Josh Kirschenbaum?
I do.
He's going to be on the podcast sometime.
Talking about Josh Kirschenbaum, the producer?
No.
Or Josh Kirschenbaum?
The post supervisor, effects supervisor at
we,
Nomad.
we used to work at Nomad
But
together.
now he's no longer.
Where is he now?
I think he's freelance.
Which makes sense.
And he mentioned Method the other day. He said something about Method. I'm like, fuck, Method's still around, of course. Or Hydraulic.
Is it still? They're still
Hydraulic?
around? Really?
Yeah. I mean, Colin and,
Yeah, Josh came to work at Nomad after me and kind of created that department.
We're mentioning
because we didn't really have color in house. We had sound engineers in house, but it was just editing really.
Exactly.
And they grew it.
And it moved into now you got not I shouldn't say now, but they grew it from effects to like effects color.
You're correct.
I mean, now I don't even know if you can just walk in the door at Company 3. I think you have to have a passcode.
Well,
I think you're getting let in.
Yeah,
I haven't been in ages.
Yeah, I went 4 years ago to do a Chevy campaign there, maybe 5 years ago.
I think it's important to also note for the guests, a lot of my early knowledge as a director came from hanging out at post facilities. I remember. I mean, I can go on for stories for days, and I will, because this is what it meant at the time. I would be coloring a job. With Rob Sharada.
Yeah, I remember Rob.
Of course. And then he would have a session. We would get bumped out because you're shooting film, and me, I took a little extra time. I wanted to redo a look. He's like, "Oh, we'll have you come in at the end of the night." But anyway, Dave Myers would be coming in.
Yeah.
I remember sitting out in the lobby.
Paul Hunter would be in there.
Dude, Paul Hunter. I remember sitting in the lobby as Marcus Nispel
Oh.
came out of his session and was meeting with a agency.
Yeah.
And they were, I think, bothering him from his session.
Oh.
And he was like, they handed him boards and treatments or whatever.
Yeah.
And for him to look at, and I think they wanted him to look at it there. And he's like, I'll look at it. I look at it later. I get it. I make pretty visual.
I make it good.
I make it pretty. I get it. But the stuff I learned by walking and working in post facilities.
Yeah.
You know who one of the greatest stories I think I have in post? I have so many.
Yeah.
But do you remember Bo Leone?
Still coloring, still doing it.
Bo Leone
Stud.
is
absolutely
a legend.
Rockstar.
Yes.
When he showed me, he brought me into a room once and showed me the, I think it was Soundgarden, or I can't think of the name of it, but it was, it had all these explosions going on. God,
Audio Slave.
Audio Slave.
Yep, Cochise.
Brought me in to the room and said, Jason, because I was doing a session with him, he goes, I got to show you this. We sat at the time, it was, it was kind of a viewing room that wasn't common, but it was becoming common because, and he turned that up. And when they finally got up the elevator or whatever they were, and it hit
on a color calibrated monitor.
I stood up and was like, yeah. I mean, it just, and those were the days.
Yes.
I mean, it was just, God.
Yeah, I agree.
Goosebumps.
Now, Bo.
Yeah.
I reached out to him when I was living in Arizona because I was such a fan of his, and I read an article about him.
Yeah.
Anyway, he latched on to me, and I was allowed to sit in on his sessions. But what was most important to me and special about Bo is that he colored 3 or 4 of my videos for artists for free.
They did help.
And he would come to my sets and bring his son, Josh. We're talking on a college campus.
Really?
And I'm shooting full music videos on a college campus. And Bo Leone brought his son to help watch, and then he would a color grade, and then had me. I mean, he shaped my he's also the reason I became a director.
Yeah.
Because one day I was in a coloring bay with him while he was coloring, and I showed him one of my recent videos at the time.
Yeah.
And all I was talking about the video that I had directed was the coloring.
Yeah.
And he goes, why? You're directing right now. Go direct now.
Yeah.
To be a colorist, you got 7 years.
Oh, at least.
Go direct now.
Yeah.
I never forget it.
Yeah.
No, and he did a lot of my bigger early videos too.
I remember when Bo was having issues, with addiction, and he was going to do his first triathlon up in Malibu.
Yep.
And a bunch of us, I mean, we were just, we weren't even editing. Maybe I was editing, but some of the assistants and I went to go support him. And that's when, the business latched onto him and gave him their hearts to cheer for him, to come back even stronger.
Talent, I mean.
And, I talked about the dark days and how things, beat me down out there and why I left and came to Nashville. But there were so many good things, teachers, people, mentors that, gave us the chops to move forward and become the next generation.
That's it.
And I still feel like I try to do that still to this day. I remember once I was editing some Sprint commercials, and I had this Japanese assistant, female Japanese assistant. And I said to her, why don't you edit one of these? I can't present it to the client. I'm going to have to edit it myself. But I just want to see what somebody from a different culture and somebody, a female gender, female, and see what that would do for the spot, for the edit. And it was cool. I mean, she added a bit of femininity to it. She added a little bit of probably her culture, which I couldn't really maybe notice. But so what I did is I combined my edit with her edit. And that's always been my way of giving back, because people had to give to us. I don't know if that's happening a lot anymore. I try to, if say a kid's going to SCAD in Georgia, I have some friends, and try to get them interviews for internships and things like that. So I feel like people still need to do that. Still need to give back like Bo did and Stefan did, and the freebies in order to get us things for our reel to sell ourselves, or for the production company to sell us.
Yeah. Dave Hussey was I think I colored 90% of my work with Dave Hussey.
Dave's still doing it.
I love Dave, and he's moved into movies, and I mean,
Stefan. I mean, my gosh, he's a brand himself. Absolutely. Yeah, you're right though. When I went to Company 3, pass, locks, and
I used to walk through the door.
You could just walk
to hang, and I would get a meal.
Oh yeah, because
you could. They would remember me.
Hey, what are you doing here? I'm having breakfast.
I'm learning.
I'm hungry.
So let me ask you this: moving to now, like times have changed. Would you say? Do you adopt the freelance, or do you feel the staff being like back in the day when you were at both coasts, you were bi-coastal, you're going to get the reach from your reps. And, you're going to get the bigger dollar jobs because they just somehow get it versus you being.
Yeah, well, I think it's a lot of, I think it's the producer's relationship or the executive producer at the post house. I think it's the sales rep. I think it's you. I think it's the emails or the phone calls or the text messages.
Because freelance is all you.
Well, it is, yeah, but that was the model, right? And that's a lot of money going out the door. So I was working for Company 3 Deluxe Entertainment. It was called Beast. They kind of shut that Beast down, and
I remember.
I had moved here, right, and I didn't know if I wanted to edit because I was in such a dark place. But then these little deposits, like you said, people waving to me in the neighborhood. I'm like, I had that flinch as well. Like, what? Why are they waving at me? Yeah. But deposit after deposit after deposit kind of brought me back to a better place just here. So I think I just needed some healing within myself. My wife's been great. Her family's amazing. So like a potluck dinner never tasted so good. Because there was some love in those baked beans. There was some love in that hamburger. And then I got a call from a friend of mine. He's like, "You want to edit some Bush Beans commercials with a talking dog?" I'm like, "Hell yeah, let's go."
All day long.
All day long. So I got back into it and I healed myself. And, Bobby Gaber down in Atlanta at Bees Company 3, he runs the shop down in Atlanta. "What are you doing?" I was like, "I don't know, just freelancing, getting things here and there." He's like, "Well, come down and visit us. We'll fly you down, see what you think of the shop, meet some people." And it felt right. It felt right. So I kind of, I got back in the game and worked for Bees for probably 5 or 6 years. And then COVID hit, right? So nobody was going anywhere. Everybody was doing virtual. They couldn't afford to pay my salary, which I don't blame them. You got to bring money through the door to keep those big, those big companies going. And so they furloughed me, and then they had to let me go. So I just did what I did, or what I do now, which is just call people. "Hey, what do you got? What are you doing? Can I help you with this? Oh, you need a freebie? Absolutely. You need a rip to try to get this client? Why not?" And then that's kind of how it's been, just freelancing. Fortunate enough to get a Nike job at the end of last year, the beginning of that,
Saw that.
rolled in. The message, that job helped me a lot in the sense that the commercials you do, or the videos that you do that have an emotion or a subject matter that really brings you into it all. It was based on when young girls go through changes and become more mature, they kind of get body conscious, right? Because of our environment we live in, social media, and then they quit sports. They may get a little heavier, they get the curve or whatever, and they want to quit because, of the attention that they don't necessarily want. So, this professional soccer player and this professional gymnast, and they all got together with these girls that may or may not have given up sport, and they posed the question, why? And they explained. And so, I've gotten back to where I'm really passionate again. And I really give a crap about getting, again, the people, the client, the best quality piece that they can get. And, it was kind of shot all over the place. So you got to find the little nuggets to convey the message, because it's not scripted.
I love that you said that. You got to dig.
You got to dig. I think.
Yeah.
And that's what kind of worries me right now. I mean, I'll adapt just like anybody else, but the AI thing, it's like, how are we going to get the human emotion or find the little nugget or that bridges a gap of, like, it used to be a flash frame sometimes, right? Like when the film ran out, you get a really cool poof, or if it burnt
light,
or, and so, like, maybe that wouldn't have been something that a computer would take, because it just doesn't. I mean, maybe there's a software now that does all that stuff too. Who knows? But
Do you think people have the time to care about those little nuances? Or do you want to still believe?
I still want to believe.
I do. I do.
Believe.
And I can't subscribe or get into a job with that mindset.
Yeah. No.
I have to believe. I have to be a hopeless romantic that the nuances and people do care.
Well,
like, I would watch videos for one shot.
Oh yeah.
And my favorite shot. I'd be like, yes.
Yeah. Well, think about for you. One of your photographs of Yellow Wolf in the what is it called? The little breakfast
Waffle House?
Yeah, the Waffle House. You may not have got that from somebody just snapping. They could shoot 100 frames, right?
Yeah.
Of a still, and may not get that one moment because they're just they're not crafting the frame. They're not lining it up how they want it. They're not using the lens that they want it. They're not finding the light that may or may not be there. And so I think that, yeah, that's a problem for me. I mean, maybe not a problem, but it's what we're up against.
We are up against it. To me, I mean, well, I'll get into AI in just a second because I do
jump the gun.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get into it. But I want to get into when we first worked together because we've only done one job together.
But
I feel like I've known you forever.
We did the Lee Bryce video.
Yeah.
So that was twice.
We did two?
We did Jeep.
Well, no, directing.
As a director.
That was
correct.
One of them girls for Lee Bryce.
Great song.
And you hollered at me. And we were just playing some tennis and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I remember about the edit that I love about it is it was, how do I say this? Up until you, I was having editors who were learning it. Maybe I had to kind of push and teach a technique.
Yeah.
And therefore, in that capacity, they might lean into what I'm saying a little bit more than what they might have to say. Mm-hmm. Working with you was kind of flashing me back to when I was, when you are working.
You were leaning on the guy.
Yeah.
The editor,
and it was really cool because it had a peppier feel than what I normally do. Right? Remember? Yeah. It had more of a commercial thing, and I had to work that through. And you were so rad because you didn't mind that I unraveled the whole thing and brought it very similarly back to you.
I mean, no, I agree with that. I'm not saying
we had a lot
I don't
of
disagree, but I believe that used to be part of the craft.
Yeah.
Let's deconstruct it.
Yes.
Let's exercise.
Let the director see how you got there.
Yeah.
And understand that footage.
Yeah.
Like you do for the past 6 days, whatever.
Yeah, whatever it was.
Now I know.
A day.
Yeah. No. Hey, I know I don't get days.
You got anything
but,
yet?
But, it's back to scrolling through the footage. I call it frame fucking. I am a frame fucker.
Well.
I will look.
Sure.
Frame. Put this one. Flip them.
But again.
Sometimes it's just unlocking a thing.
But again, you crafted it.
Sure.
You help craft the story. You help sell it or explain it to Lee, right?
Yeah.
So that he felt comfortable in that atmosphere that you were creating, and the story that you interwove, throughout. It's really a beautiful. I still watch it and go, that was pretty good work.
I watched it last night.
Did you?
I did. I'm like, God, Lee, there's like 4 narratives or 3 narratives going through
the
it
girl,
while having.
Yeah, the mom, the struggle, she's not looking for the guy.
And
she's trying to be her.
And I even forgot about the video. So when she's getting ready for the fire and she's getting the guy out, I'm like, oh, wow, that's great. Okay, good. You meaning me. You showed that, and then it showed the fire and the thing. I'm like, oh yeah.
This is big. Yes. A contained fire. Yeah.
Do you have any regrets? Let me ask you this, because it seems like our careers
parallel,
but are opposite. Here's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I did music videos, high-end music videos.
Lots of big
with
names.
the attempt and the mindset of what's going on in the spot world. Remember, I told you I'd be hanging at post facilities, seeing what's going on. Okay, get that knowledge, put it in here, go to my jobs. So I'm tailoring my work for commercials. Wah, wah. Crickets. It never broke. You kind of, you got into videos young, but let's not call it, you were assisting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But your main career trajectory has been in spots and advertising. I'm wondering about my regrets. Did I not get off the block soon enough to jump through the commercial window?
I don't think
Shit.
so.
Do you have any, did you not get into videos were kind of really big? Did you get lost too much into the sauce of spots?
No, I always thought that the music video world was where I wanted to live. Oh man, yeah.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, because you always saw these like sniffing around Company 3 and seeing these really amazing like color screen grabs and going, oh,
yeah, you're
whoa.
right. The film share.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, and back then getting a printout or whatever it was, but just that whole like underground, you know, and getting little snippets from Bob, you know, the editor that I learned from, and seeing him, you know, cut Rhythm, or not cut Rhythm Nation, but Men in Black, the Men in Black music video, like going to set.
Remember the Wild Wild West one?
He edited that too. Bob edited that too. And then I'm like, well, how do I latch onto a younger music video director? Do I call, you know, some of the bigger, or do I have someone call on my behalf? But because I didn't have music video work, I couldn't really like get in there.
And I'm going to raise my hand because, yes, I had editors back in the day hollering, and we would dismiss.
Yep.
We'd be like,
Absolutely.
they got, I mean, that's a cool spot. I love the Skittles spot, but like.
But Good Riddance, it was probably, you know, think about it. We're thinking in 30 seconds. So we're in this world, and we know maybe the tag has to be 3 seconds. So now we're down to 27 seconds. Okay, then it needs to be a sale. Now we're down to tell the story in 20 seconds. Nowadays it's fine because we got 15s and 10s and 5s and 3s or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
So I understood that the directors didn't see, you know, we were kind of confined within that 30-second world. And it was a challenge for me, the first music video that I did, to let it breathe, to let it go, to let it get out there. But
that was ours too. That was ours. Remember, one of ours. You were having that issue too, even a little bit. Yeah. And I mean, but then you won a lot of it because we did have a lot of story to tell. But I remember I was like, man,
sure,
I don't know. This feels cutting too quick. I feel like I'm getting a Big Mac. You know?
Well, the thing is I always try to, in a first run of a music video, and I've only done maybe 15 of them in my life, is to put it all in there.
Yeah.
And to know that that's not going to be the last edit.
Yeah.
But to let the director, let the people see their footage. So sometimes I'll cut like a 45 or a 60-second commercial just to show them their footage, and then we can
potential.
I'll cut the 32 in my hip pocket just to sort of go, you know, I've got it, but let's look at this stuff.
And here's how this feels with this shot that you wouldn't have seen if I didn't just make you another alternate little moment. I like this shot. Here it is with this.
Yeah.
That's great.
But yeah, getting back to the music video, I'm trying to think of the first one. I think it was Prue. Her name was Prue. And it was based on like the Andy Warhol, the gal that slept in the pool. I don't know. It was a movie that a short film that Andy Warhol shot.
I don't know.
And then I would try to find a nugget here and there for somebody that didn't have a lot of money. And so one of them down the line was Jewel, and it was all shot on like Super 8. Super 8. Okay. With this famous photographer who paid me in stills, which was really cool because now they're worth like $7,000 a piece. Because he's passed on since. I'm sorry, I can't come up with his name, but I would do those to help wash my eyes of that 30-second.
Yeah.
You know, like that I was caught in. You know, to really kind of like. I did one for Leaky Lee that was very crazy, and you know the director, you know, just kind of went dark and deep, and it was super cool. But to be able to like craft in that world helped me broaden my palette, so that I wasn't so super, you know, quick cuts, you know, or having to tell the story, and that shot needs to be trimmed for us to bridge to this, and then the conclusion of or the ending of the story. So, music videos, as I did more and more, helped me, I think, develop me.
Well,
and give me more like tools.
That's a good segue into this. Do you feel like advertising has shifted into commercials today, where it used to be big budgets, big productions, big teams? Now we touched on this earlier. I wanted to touch again, but you know, versus the content game. I mean, there's still commercials being made, but now commercials being made with more assets to be shot on the day. Again, back to what we said earlier.
Man.
You know, do you feel that content and faster edits, or just more of a less concept, more of a feeling, quick,
Now, I don't know if I don't know. I mean,
is taking over the medium?
I can't speak for the ad agency people because I'm not in those meetings, but I feel like, a lot of times we're shooting for the social media platforms. Are we really shooting for the broadcast edit? I think there's a shift, and there has been a shift where we only have the attention of some of the viewers for 3 seconds, right? So
And is that even on a TV? It's
No.
here.
No, it's all here.
I mean, exactly. I
Yeah,
mean, you said
or-
all. I mean, I'm
or
sure there's
here,
something
or
on the
a
TV.
laptop,
But
right.
look, when you're watching a game or whatever with your
Mm-hmm.
homies, I mean, you better be doing something real special in that commercial to stop everyone.
Yeah, 100%. I mean,
Versus the phone, which has everybody's attention all day long.
I
Almost,
think
it
like
seems like.
I think like ESPN, because you're sitting there waiting for the ball game to come back on, or you don't know when it's going to come back on. So and now they're doing the picture-in-picture thing where the commercial's going and the game is still going. So I think you get like an audience that has to pay attention. Super Bowl, of course, that's a big thing. People are going to pay attention to that, but they're putting out the commercials. A lot of them are putting out the commercials before the Super Bowl even. To get the momentum to maybe watch it while it's on. I don't know the strategies with that, but to answer your question, I'm not. I mean, has the quality? Is it gotten?
No, has the business changed?
Oh,
You know what I mean?
God.
Meaning the footage you're now getting and the asks that you're being told to deliver, are you seeing much less bigger concept storyline production themes, or are they more content, shoot, capture as much as you can, pretty visuals, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But, you can, as we know, to produce storylines and to put all the filmic, cinematic attributes to it costs money, okay? But
Yeah.
you can go shoot insanely beautiful visuals. Are you seeing more of a visual thing coming at you versus a storyline
I
thing?
really don't see the visual thing. I think it's less and less. I mean, if you're translating a wide shot, a vista, and it's going to be a part of the story for social media, it's not going to.
It's not going to.
It doesn't
right
translate. It's a 1x1 or a 9x16.
Are you being asked to do verticals too?
Oh, all of it. Yeah, most every job that I'm doing now has to have a deliverable for all different formats. And sometimes we have to do, the 5, the 10, the 15, the 30,
Yeah, and so the
60.
filmmaker, the director, and the DP, they're lining shots up. They're putting the bow tie in the center. Right? I mean, it's you're adjusting your compositions on
For
production for the
or have to shoot a one-off.
Oh yeah,
or
I
a
get told
tighter,
that on sets.
or
Hey,
have a longer
are we shooting?
lens,
Are we
or-
shooting for crop this?
Yeah.
Like, wait, I'm
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
because every one of them
Yeah. Yeah. So
is forcing the filmmakers to frame it different or give it up.
Or just, we give it up. And are we just in there right now?
Exactly.
Are we into the story with, a lead in of some sort?
So that leads into one thing I didn't avoid because I wanted to get to it and spend time for it. AI.
Yeah.
Because that, could solve that issue in some ways.
It
And,
does. Think about budget wise.
Exactly.
You can create that vista. I want to be in the desert, or I want to be in the salt flats, or I want to be here. 3D, the car, the vehicle, the motorcycle, the product.
Is there, we were saying before we even got on the show here, like, is there an end to it? And I was like, I think the box has been opened. Pandora's open. You can't go. It's Terminator.
know.
It's like you got to go kill Cyborg.
I don't know. I watched a program in 60 Minutes about this. These two robots that weren't really giving the rules and regulations of soccer, and they were teaching themselves strategy. It was a ball, two robots kicking, and then as it went on, it learned angles and it learned.
Why? My question
I don't know.
is like we get this is
I mean, I get
Why?
national
Why?
security. I get security. I get protecting our grids and this and that. I get that. That's probably been going on for a lot longer than we know. But as far as the entertainment business goes, and for music videos, for performers, for songwriters, for
everything
singers,
just why are we trying? What's the point of losing human so we can get faster and speedier and easier and efficient?
I don't know.
We're only getting faster, easier, more efficient to do more fucking shit.
I know.
So I don't understand.
I don't either. And it's like, okay, what if somebody went back to sculpting? Are we going to use AI in sculpting? Probably, because we're already doing 3D printing and whatnot, right?
We can Nike shoes.
We can copy the Michelangelo if we want to, or more Michael. Is it the David? We could copy that just, and a plastic thing comes above to fruition. I don't know. I mean, it really is a Pandora's box, and I've explored it to a degree. With the co-pilots of the world and in the different Chat GPT and whatnot, but I don't know why we would have it be infiltrated with in the entertainment business. It just sort of defeats the purpose to me. Whether you're designing a motorcycle, whether you're a pinstriper, or I mean, maybe those are the only artists that survive, the fine artists. The guys working still with paint and splashing or realism or taking abstractions photos. Or taking photos. Maybe it gets back to maybe it turns a corner and it gets back to the real heart of the art, I don't know. It's
I only know what I've learned and how hard it's been to get in the lessons. And I mean, not even craft hard learning stuff. I'm talking like internal human struggles to get to here. Dreaming of doing it and sacrificing relationships and time with kids and just things in your life to pursue this art and this craft.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take it to the wheels fall off.
Me too.
I don't know how.
It's all I know, right?
I
mean, what more do we know? I mean, we can shift like we shifted from film to digital and this and that and the other, but it really didn't affect much. It was just like, okay, we're just moving with the times. Now we're in this world, this unknown world, and like, how do we adapt? I mean, it's going to take a lot of research. We're going to have to see what transpires, and we'll just try to adapt the best we can. But again, and speaking, I think a lot of the theme of what we've talked about is the heart and the people that we work with and the experiences and the stories and the give and the take and that. Will that exist anymore? Will our heart shrink? Will we have, be less human because of it? Maybe. And that's a sad day.
It's a sad day.
It's a sad day for me.
We talked about art, and I know one thing that I want to talk about real quick that's kind of off topic, but really related to art and what you're saying. You have a love for Henry Diltz.
I do.
Photos.
Yeah.
I love his work too. He's at the Morrison Gallery, or he's a partner he's one of the people at the Morrison Gallery.
Yeah.
He is a pioneer or a legend to me because he paves the way, and along with many other photographers like him, to own and sell and shoot for the wall.
Yeah. Yeah. He definitely does.
Do you have a favorite photo of his?
I do. I have the Morrison Hotel, which is probably his most, recognizable or famous photos that he did, which I guess he had the boys sneak in. They got kicked out, so I think it was kind of that same sort of thing with Yellow Wolf, where you got a frame and it's genius, right? So I think that happened to him as well. And then I have another one of him, of the Doors at the Venice Pier when they were when it was a wooden structure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So years ago.
That's a cool one.
I think it's 69, 67, 69. He's very cool. So I was fortunate to meet him. I was at the Malibu Inn. It was a small venue. It's no longer there, and he was shooting a friend of mine, Scott Thomas, who was a big up and coming music act, great writer, great performer. And I was just sitting there having a beer, and I turned, and there's an older gentleman with a long ponytail, and he's just kind of getting shots and sort of, getting in the crowd and taking. And I said, "Hey, how you doing?" He's like, "Hey, I'm Henry." I'm like, "I'm Jason." He had no clue who he was, right?
And tell everybody who Henry Diltz. I mean, like he's the Doors.
Yeah, Crosby, Stills, and Nash. I mean, you name the 70s or the late 60s, and Henry
some of those
was all over it.
iconic photos, legendary
go to
photos.
his site.
Yeah.
I mean,
You'd be like,
go
what?
to his
Jim Morrison.
It's. I mean, the guy's probably got. I mean, there should be a film. I mean, maybe is there a film?
There will be.
There should be. There should be.
He documented a whole era.
Age of Innocence.
Oh God.
I mean, Topanga Canyon, the canyons, the hippy dippy world. How Crosby, Stills, and Nash got together. Mr. Young, but yeah, we're just talking, and he's like, "Yeah, I've been a friend of Scott's for a while," and I'm like, "Okay." He's like, "I'm Henry," and I'm like, "I'm Jason." And I said, "Do you show your work anywhere?" And he's like, "Matter of fact, we kind of just open in Soho." And I'm like, because I said, "Well, I work on both coasts," or I don't know how the conversation transpired. And he goes, "If you go there, have them call me and tell me you're there, and I'll guide you or just introduce you to the salesperson so that you're treated as such." So I'm in Soho and working, doing a job. I don't remember what. Went in, and I was just, like you said, whoa, because it was presented. It was like I got to see him not only on the internet, but right there. 1 of 1, 7 of 10.
Stuff that maybe never even seen.
And then you could go to but anyway, it was a lot to take in. So they called him, and that's why I have the Morrison Hotel, is because he tossed that one in.
Wow.
It's not a 1 of 1. It's but that was, again, the artist lending to the artist his heart or her heart. Yeah. And I'll never forget that. We go down the line when we think of still photographers, and yeah, he's right up there. He's
big time.
He's
man.
really up there.
I want to meet him.
Yeah, that'd be an honor.
I know I can probably arrange it because of the fine folks at the Morrison Gallery in LA. I think.
Yeah, is there one? Well,
yeah. I have a few pictures.
That's how far I'm going back.
You want to know what's something cool?
Because I don't think there was one there.
Oh yeah.
I think he might have opened up, and I don't know. I could be wrong.
Here's something cool. I don't know if it matters if I say it on the air or not, but when we are done with this, I got to drive to my lab and sign 4 pictures that are going to the Morrison Gallery in New York for a gallery showing on the 24th.
Are you gonna go?
I'm trying to talk my wife into it. Well,
Yeah.
I leave with Aldine here soon. We'll figure it all out. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's an honor, and that's why I know that about you with Henry, and I mean, your love for real photography and photography that stands the test of time.
I think, and I think you've got that similar talent.
Thank you.
It was given. I think with photographers, there's 2 different kinds. I think there are the ones that were given the talent. They pick up a camera, it could be a pinhole, and just shoot a really good photograph. And then I think there are those, and I'm not taking anything away from, that have to work to get to that point where people like yourselves were just, handed that. They were blessed with that ability.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
And so, I mean, photographs for me are just, I wish people printed them out more.
I'm starting to do
We've got them on our iPhones or on our whatever apparatus.
Go back to some analog a little bit.
And we just don't put them on our shelves.
I know.
We do this. Hey, look at this. Look,
They forget it.
and forget
That's
it.
here. It's just like I want everyone to be like, while I'm talking, and then be like,
oh, this whole room should be full.
Yeah,
It
like
should
an
be.
Italian beach, like a mafia Italian restaurant.
Hey,
Johnny,
look
at that Polaroid up in that corner
there's
there.
Painter over there. We put him at the top. We don't really claim him, but there he is. Hey.
So,
Yeah.
What's next? What with the times and how things?
Yeah.
Where's movies with all this emotion and all this?
When's the last time you saw a good comedy? Name a comedy.
It's definitely like Wedding Crasher. It's kind of like that Ben Stiller, Vince Vaughn era. I like that a lot. I mean, there's some. I mean, but I mean, movies wise, I mean, there's some great comedians right now. But that's off track.
Yeah.
I just wonder with all your inspiration you're feeling now. I wonder if there's a new chapter to Jason Painter's editing career where you can be like, is it where you are in life? Yeah. Or do you want to tackle something new? Or
I mean, I would like to do a long form piece. I've looked at some documentaries about different subject matter. One hasn't really come to fruition, but I'm kind of digging. I just always feel like when people ask me what are some of your favorite commercials, yeah, of course you kind of come up with the Super Bowl or you come up with, but I've always loved the public service announcements. I've always loved that documentary world, right? Where you have to really bring in your chops to create something because it could be very thin of footage if you're going back in history, right? So you're utilizing what you got and graphics and whatnot, or, pictures moving and animation, or if you have some sound bites, like there's a really good on PBS.com. There's a really good interview with Jim Morrison, getting back to Morrison, and he's talking about when it's like, so tell us when you went to college. He was like, yeah, man, I had that meal ticket, and I got free food, and he's just like, and I got big. I'm paraphrasing here, and it felt good, right? That he had a little bit of extra weight on him. He goes like he'd run into somebody on the street and they'd move. So I think in that documentary world, you got to come up with, and it was just kind of real simple animation. It was just like the black and white line kind of thing. I'd still like to be relevant within the commercial world.
Hell yeah!
I'd still like to have to do as many campaigns as I can, and also really lend the craft and the teaching. I did go down and speak to the Belmont students to some of the film students, and they did a question, answer kind of thing. That speaks to my heart.
Sure.
Still like to do a music video here and there for the right project, for the right person. I've really kind of gotten into the country thing. By being around it and meeting.
Well, you're in Green Hills. You're right there.
Yeah, I am. But I think there's storytelling still there.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of the, music out now, I'm not knocking it, but again, I go right back to the heart and the artistry. And so those things speak to me. I think, we get back to our roots. We'll always go back to our roots, right? Yeah. We'll always go back to what inspired us, and we'll always go back to what made us, get into it in the first place. It's just that if the world will accept us.
It's funny. You said exactly my answer would be if you asked me.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, I would love to do a movie.
Yeah.
How hard do I have to work to get that movie?
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's talk about how hard that is.
Yeah.
Versus
very hard.
Versus going back to your roots. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I am the same way. I love music videos, music culture, photography, teaching, kind of taking a, an educated role. I mean, been doing this for fucking forever.
Let's not say how.
So, I definitely admire and can relate to what you're saying. I was trying to bait you to say you wanted to do movies, and it's kind of like, I'm not going to turn one down.
No.
But I'm kind of grinding. I'm going through the emotional roller coaster of knowing where you came from, seeing how that can coexist in today's age, and both emotionally and creatively. You're saying, nah, I got time. I got time still to not dominate, to infect or to affect an industry, and that's really rad, dude.
Yeah. No, I mean, we gotta love what we do, and we gotta love where we came from. we're very blessed to have, come from that world, and we're still doing it.
I know. I honestly, I don't know where Zach will tell me tomorrow or something where this podcast went, but I know
right?
there's going to be a section. There's going to be a section somewhere in there that has like those post stories, because I just forgot we were here talking. I miss those days.
I know.
And
They were special.
truly, to all of my LA cats, I'm coming for you out there. I can't wait to get all of them on this, because it's just a
you have to.
world that I miss and is extremely dear to my heart and built me who I am today.
Same.
But at the same time, feels like a lifetime ago.
It does.
It doesn't feel like today, or I don't feel like that.
Yeah.
Sometimes that was me.
Yeah.
I had to pinch myself and go, that was you.
Yeah.
That was you. That was real, So honestly, man, thank you so much for relive all of this. And man, it was
My
just good to
pleasure.
see you smile, bro.
Yeah. Things are good.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, man.